The proximity alarm jolted Dr. Isabella Romano from her work, its urgent bleating echoing through the sterile halls of Europa Research Station 7. She glanced at the chronometer, 300 station time, and frowned. Nothing ever triggered those sensors, except the occasional ice sheet movement. "Display external feed," she commanded, and the laboratory's main screen flickered to life. The stark Europan landscape stretched before her, an endless plain of crystalline ice bathed in Jupiter's amber glow. At first, she saw nothing unusual, just the familiar ridges and crevasses she'd studied for the past 3 years. Then she noticed it, a shimmer in the air, like heat waves rising from sun-baked asphalt. But that was impossible. The surface temperature was minus 160 degrees Celsius. Isabella pulled on her thermal suit, double-checking the seals with practiced efficiency. Computer, log emergency excursion. Solo researcher, estimated duration 1 hour. The station's AIA acknowledged with a soft chime as she stepped into the airlock. The moment her boots touched Europa's surface, she felt it. A vibration through the ice, different from the moon's usual seismic activity. She activated her suit's tracking system, following the anomalous readings toward a deep crevasse 200 meters from the station. The shimmer intensified as she approached, resolving into something that defied explanation. Hovering just above the ice was a creature that seemed crafted from living crystal and starlight. Its form resembled Earth's mythical dragons, but its substance was unlike anything Isabella had ever encountered. Translucent scales rippled with patterns of light that mimicked the aurora borealis, and its wings, now clearly damaged, appeared to be made of something between glass and energy. The creature's eyes fixed on her, pools of swirling silver that held unmistakable intelligence. It made no sound, but Isabella felt a resonance in her chest, like the ghost of a song she'd never heard. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said softly, knowing her words couldn't penetrate her helmet, but hoping her body language conveyed peace. The dragon being's wings flickered weakly, and she saw the problem. Fractures ran through the crystalline membrane, leaking what looked like liquid starlight. Isabella's medical training warred with her scientific caution. This was a first contact situation. There were protocols, procedures, countless regulations about interfacing with potential extraterrestrial life. But the creature was clearly suffering, and something in those silver eyes called to the healer in her soul. She made her decision. "I'm going to help you," she said, slowly reaching for her sample collection kit. The dragon watched her every move, its head tilted in an almost bird-like manner. Using her kit's antigrav function, she created a stable field beneath the creature. "Please trust me." To her amazement, the dragon allowed itself to be lifted. Its body temperature registered at just above absolute zero, yet it radiated a kind of energy her instruments couldn't classify. The journey back to the station was tense. Every step had to be precise to maintain the antigrav field's stability. Inside her lab, Isabella faced her next challenge. How does one treat a being made of crystal and light? Our medical scanner's analysis was incomplete, showing structures that seemed to exist partially in dimensions her equipment couldn't properly measure. The dragon lay still on her examination table. Its breathing, did it breathe? Creating subtle waves of light beneath its scales. Isabella noticed patterns in the energy fluctuations. They were mathematical, following sequences she recognized from her quantum physics studies. "You're not just alive," she whispered. "You're conscious in ways we never imagined possible." The dragon's eyes met hers, and suddenly her mind filled with images, stellar nurseries, cosmic filaments, vast webs of energy connecting distant galaxies. The creature was trying to communicate. Isabella steadied herself against the rush of alien thoughts. The dragon's wings contained crystalline structures, similar to quantum computers, but organic, evolved. The damage wasn't just physical. It was disrupting the creature's connection to something vast and ancient. She worked through the night, using a combination of advanced materials science and intuition. The dragon's own biology provided the solution. Its scales contained self-repairing properties that could be stimulated with precisely calibrated energy pulses. Isabella modified her medical equipment, programming new protocols based on the mathematical patterns she'd observed.
As dawn approached on Europa's endless night, the dragon's wings began to heal. The fractures sealed themselves with threads of living light, and the creature's energy signature strengthened. Isabella watched in awe as new patterns of luminescence spread through its body, like constellations being born. The dragon rose, its restored wings casting rainbow refractions across the laboratory. Isabella felt its gratitude as a warm resonance in her mind, accompanied by more images, this time of distant worlds, of others like itself, and of a purpose she could barely comprehend. She had done more than heal an injured being. She had made first contact with a species that existed between the stars themselves, creatures that shepherded light and energy through the cosmos. And somehow she knew this was just the beginning. The dragon touched its forehead to hers, and in that moment of connection, Isabella understood why it had chosen her station, her moon, her. The universe was changing, and humanity needed to be ready. She was to be a bridge between worlds, between forms of life so different yet bound by the fundamental forces that shaped existence itself. As Jupiter rose over Europa's horizon, casting its giant shadow across the ice, Isabella Romano began documenting everything she'd learned. Her report would change humanity's understanding of life itself. But first, she had to protect her patient and the extraordinary truth it represented. The dragon watched her work, its silver eyes reflecting starlight that had traveled billions of years to reach them. Together, they had taken the first step on a journey that would reshape two civilizations. The real challenge lay ahead, convincing humanity that the universe was far more wonderful and strange than anyone had imagined. 3 days after healing the crystalline dragon, Dr. Isabella Romano found herself breaking virtually every protocol in the extraterrestrial contact manual. Instead of reporting her discovery to Earth's scientific council, she had converted her private quarters into a sanctuary for her extraordinary patient. The dragon, whom she'd begun calling Lyra after observing its musical resonance patterns, was proving to be far more than a simple organic being. "Your cellular structure shouldn't be possible," Isabella muttered, reviewing her latest scans. Lyra lounged on a modified gravity pad, its restored wings occasionally pulsing with waves of cerulean and gold. The creature's body seemed to exist in a state of quantum superposition, simultaneously solid matter and pure energy. A gentle harmonic thrummed through the room, and Isabella felt Lyra's amusement brush against her consciousness. Their telepathic connection had strengthened daily, moving beyond simple imagery to more complex concepts. Still, much remained mysterious about her patient's true nature and purpose. The station's warning system interrupted her thoughts. Unusual radiation signature detected. Source: Jupiter's upper atmosphere. Isabella pulled up the sensor readings, her breath catching as she analyzed the data. The energy pattern matched Lyra's exactly. Lyra rose, its wings extending to their full span. The laboratory filled with prismatic light as the dragon's scales shifted from their usual crystalline transparency to deep, pulsing indigo. Through their mental link, Isabella received a cascade of urgent impressions. Vast ships of living crystal, battles fought with weapons of pure energy, and a darkness spreading between the stars. "You're not just lost, are you?" Isabella whispered. "You're running from something." The dragon's response came as a series of mathematical equations appearing in her mind, describing wormhole mechanics and quantum entanglement on a scale she'd never imagined. Lyra's people weren't simply interstellar travelers. They were the guardians of space-time itself, maintaining cosmic pathways between galaxies. A second alarm blared. Multiple anomalies detected approaching Europa. Estimated arrival: 6 hours. The sensor display showed 5 distinct energy signatures, all larger than Lyra's. Fear and determination radiated from the dragon in equal measure. Through their connection, Isabella understood. These weren't rescuers, but pursuers. The force that had injured Lyra had followed it to Europa. "We need to alert Earth's defenses," Isabella began, but Lyra's urgent negation stopped her. More images filled her mind. Earth's military response drawing unwanted attention, escalating a conflict humanity wasn't ready to join, devastating consequences rippling across multiple dimensions. Instead, Lyra shared a different plan. The dragon's wings began vibrating at frequencies that made Isabella's instruments spike wildly. Patterns of light danced across its scales, forming complex geometric shapes that seemed to fold in on themselves. "You're creating a quantum shield," Isabella realized, watching as the energy field expanded to encompass her laboratory. "But this much power, you'll drain yourself completely." Lyra's silver eyes met hers, and suddenly Isabella understood what the dragon needed. Her medical knowledge of the creature's unique biology, combined with the station's power systems, could amplify the shield's effect. But it would mean fully merging their minds, a level of connection far beyond their previous interactions. Without hesitation, Isabella began modifying her medical equipment. She'd spent her career pushing the boundaries of xenobiology, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. As she worked, she felt Lyra's consciousness brushing against hers more insistently, sharing the knowledge she needed. The approaching entities entered Jupiter's orbit just as Isabella finished her preparations. Through their strengthening bond, she sensed their malevolent purpose. These weren't simply rivals or predators, but beings that fed on the very essence of species like Lyra, corrupting the cosmic pathways they protected. "Ready?" she asked, though the question was merely formality. Their minds were already synchronizing, thoughts flowing together like converging streams. Isabella activated her modified medical array, channeling the station's power through circuits designed to interface with Lyra's crystalline biology. The dragon's form began to shine with internal light, its wings becoming pure energy. Isabella gasped as her consciousness expanded, experiencing reality through Lyra's multidimensional senses. She could feel the approaching hunters, their dark energy rippling through space-time. But she could also sense something else, a vast network of light and thought connecting distant stars, Lyra's people maintaining the delicate balance of the cosmos. Power surged through the laboratory as their combined efforts generated a quantum shield unlike anything human science had conceived. Isabella's modified equipment translated Lyra's natural abilities into sustainable energy patterns, while the dragon's ancient knowledge guided the shield's formation. As the hunters reached Europa's orbit, Isabella and Lyra stood united, their merged consciousness ready to protect not just themselves, but the delicate balance between their two species. The true test of their bond was about to begin, and its outcome would determine far more than their own survival. Through their connection, Isabella felt Lyra's resolve strengthen. Together, they had created something unprecedented, a perfect synthesis of human ingenuity and cosmic wisdom. As the darkness approached their shield, Isabella knew with absolute certainty that she had made the right choice in protecting her extraordinary patient. The hunters made their first attack, and the battle for Europa began. The attack came not as an explosion or physical assault, but as a wave of absolute darkness that seemed to devour light itself. Through her merged consciousness with Lyra, Isabella experienced it as a violation of natural law. These beings weren't just attacking them, they were attempting to unravel the very fabric of space-time around Europa. Their quantum shield held, but Isabella felt the strain through both her equipment and Lyra's crystalline form. The dragon's wings pulsed with desperate energy as they maintained their defense. Through their connection, Isabella accessed memories that belonged to Lyra's species, the astrolary, cosmic shepherds who had guided the evolution of the universe since the first stars ignited. They're void hunters, Isabella understood suddenly, the knowledge flowing from Lyra's mind to hers. They feed on dimensional boundaries, consuming the barriers between realities. The horror of it became clear. These creatures didn't just threaten individual worlds or species, but the fundamental structure of existence itself. The station's systems screamed warnings as reality buckled around them. Outside their shield, Europa's ice began to crystallize in impossible patterns as competing forces warped local spacetime. Through Lyra's senses, Isabella watched the 5 attacking entities circle their position, each one a twisted mirror of Lyra's kind, corrupted by exposure to something that should never have been awakened. More memories surfaced, an ancient warning passed down through generations of astrology, speaking of a time when the boundaries between dimensions would grow thin. The Void Hunters were meant to be impossible, theoretical entities that could only exist if something had damaged the cosmic framework itself. Someone broke the seals, Isabella whispered, understanding flowing between her and Lyra. Your people were maintaining dimensional barriers that were never meant to be breached. The dragon's confirmation came with a deeper revelation. The barriers had been compromised from both sides. Something in human space had weakened them at the same moment the Void Hunters had struck from their realm. Through their bond, Isabella accessed Lyra's final moments before arriving at Europa. The dragon had been part of a sentinel group, maintaining a critical junction of dimensional pathways near the Oort cloud. They had detected the breach too late. The Void Hunters erupted into normal space, their very presence corrupting everything they touched. Lyra had been injured trying to seal the breach, forcing a desperate escape to the nearest inhabited world. But Europa hadn't been a random choice. Through their merged consciousness, Isabella finally understood why Lyra had sought her specifically. The dragon had sensed something in her genetic makeup, a rare combination of markers that made her uniquely capable of interfacing with astrology biology. She was, in the most literal sense, born to be a bridge between their species. The Void Hunters attacked again, this time focusing their assault on a single point of their shield. Isabella felt Lyra's energy faltering and instinctively knew what to do. She rerouted power from the station's fusion core, synchronizing the energy pulses with her own bioelectric field. The shield held, but the effort left her gasping. They're not just trying to kill us, Isabella realized, analyzing the attack patterns. They're trying to prevent something. Through their connection, she saw what the Void Hunters feared, a prophecy, ancient even by astrology standards, speaking of a time when 2 species would unite to repair the cosmic framework itself. Lyra's wings flared with renewed purpose, and Isabella felt the dragon's determination merge with her own. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were protecting the possibility of a future that could save both their peoples. But first, they needed to survive long enough to alert both Earth and the astrology about the true nature of the threat. The station's communications array sparked with alien energy as Lyra began channeling power through it. Isabella understood the plan immediately. They would use her modified medical equipment to boost Lyra's natural quantum entanglement abilities, sending a message that would reach across both space and dimensions. As Isabella worked to reconfigure the equipment, a new memory surfaced through their bond. She saw the moment the dimensional seals first began to weaken, and recognized the cause. A series of experimental quantum tunneling tests conducted on Earth had unknowingly resonated with the ancient barriers, creating microscopic fractures that grew over time. We did this, Isabella breathed, the weight of the revelation settling over her. Human science, blind to the larger framework, accidentally helped trigger this. But Lyra's response carried no blame, only an urgent need to unite their knowledge and abilities before it was too late. The Void Hunters sensed their intention and launched a massive coordinated assault. The shield buckled as reality itself seemed to twist and tear around them. But in that moment of crisis, Isabella felt something new emerging from their merged consciousness, an understanding deeper than either species could achieve alone. They weren't just doctor and patient, human and alien. They were the first example of what both species could become together, combining humanity's innovative spirit with the astrolary's cosmic wisdom. As their shield began to fail, Isabella knew their next actions would determine not just their fate, but the future of two civilizations and the very structure of the universe itself. The time had come to do more than defend. They had to find a way to fight back. As their shield began to collapse, Isabella and Lyra made a desperate gamble. Using the station's equipment, they transmitted a quantum-encoded message on frequencies that existed beyond normal spacetime. The signal carried not just information, but the unique resonance of their merged consciousness, proof that humans and astrolary could work together. The response came faster than either expected. Space itself seemed to ripple as new energy signatures appeared around Europa. Through Lyra's senses, Isabella recognized them immediately. More astrolary, but these were different from the corrupted void hunters. Their crystalline forms blazed with pure starlight, wings spanning dimensions Isabella's human mind could barely comprehend. Leading them was a being that dwarfed even Lyra in size, its scales shifting through colors that had no names in any human language. The Guardian, Lyra's thoughts whispered in her mind. First of the Starborn. The Void Hunters recoiled, their dark energy signatures fluctuating with what Isabella sensed as fear. The Guardian's arrival changed everything. But the ancient being didn't immediately attack. Instead, it reached out with its consciousness, touching the unique merged minds of Isabella and Lyra. Understanding flooded through their connection. The Guardian had known this moment would come, had been watching humanity's development for millennia. The quantum tunneling experiments weren't just accidents. They were inevitable steps toward humanity's cosmic awakening. The Void Hunters' attack had merely accelerated a process that was already in motion. But their time was running out. The dimensional barriers were failing faster than anyone had predicted. Earth's governments were detecting the anomalies now, preparing military responses that would only make things worse. They needed to act quickly to prevent panic and escalation. Isabella felt Lyra's mind merge more deeply with hers as they shared everything they had learned with the Guardian. The ancient being's response was immediate and clear. They had discovered something unprecedented. The bond between human and astrolary wasn't just a defensive measure. It was the key to repairing the dimensional breaches themselves. The final battle for reality was about to begin. Part 5. Beyond the Stars. The Guardian's plan was both brilliant and terrifying. Using Isabella and Lyra's unique connection as a template, they would create a new kind of dimensional seal, one that drew power from both human consciousness and astrolary energy. But it would require something that had never been attempted, a complete merger of their two species' fundamental nature. Isabella's modified medical equipment became the focus of their efforts. The Guardian and its followers created a vast geometric pattern of crystalline energy around Europa, channeling power through the quantum circuits she had designed to heal Lyra. At the center, Isabella and Lyra began the final transformation. Their consciousness merged completely, human innovation dancing with cosmic wisdom. Isabella felt her physical form begin to change, her DNA resonating with Lyra's crystalline structure. They became something new, neither human nor astrolary, but a bridge between realities. The Void Hunters launched their final assault, desperate to prevent what they saw coming. But they didn't understand what Isabella and Lyra had discovered. The power of conscious evolution, of two species choosing to grow together rather than fight. Their darkness broke against the light of this new creation. Through their transformed awareness, Isabella and Lyra began the work of repair. They could see the quantum fractures now, the places where reality had grown thin. Together, they wove new patterns into the fabric of space-time, using understanding that came from both human science and astrolary wisdom. The Guardian and its followers provided the power, while Isabella's equipment maintained the delicate balance of energies. Across Earth, sensors registered massive quantum fluctuations, but instead of destruction, they recorded a strengthening of fundamental forces. As the dimensional barriers stabilized, Isabella and Lyra made one final discovery. Their merger hadn't just saved reality. It had opened a door to humanity's next step. Through their connection, other humans would learn to link with the astralary, creating a network of consciousness that could maintain cosmic harmony. The transformation spread, not as an invasion or forced change, but as an offered choice. Those humans who were ready could choose to become bridges, learning to dance between stars while maintaining their essential humanity. The astralary would no longer be alone in their role as cosmic shepherds. In the end, Isabella looked at herself through new eyes, both human and starborn, doctor and cosmic healer. Lyra's consciousness wrapped around hers not as a separate being now, but as part of a greater whole. They had become living proof that evolution didn't have to mean destruction or replacement, but could instead mean growth and combination. Above Europa, the first human astralary school was established, where both species could learn from each other. Isabella and Lyra became its first teachers, showing others the path to understanding both the science of healing and the art of maintaining cosmic harmony. The Void Hunters became a memory, their darkness transformed by the very thing they had feared. The power of two species choosing to face the universe together. And in the vast spaces between stars, new possibilities awakened as humanity took its first steps into a larger reality, guided by the wisdom of those who had watched over existence since the first dawn. Isabella's choice to heal a wounded alien had led to the healing of reality itself. As she looked out at Jupiter's swirling storms, her crystalline wings shimmering with starlight, she knew that this wasn't an ending but a beginning. The real adventure, the exploration of what two species could become together, was just starting. And somewhere in the quantum web that connected all things, the first notes of a new cosmic song began to play.